Mike, feel same. It's great to pull you out of hurricane land and hang out in a more safe place right now.
Yeah, I'm here in sunny San Diego.
Yes.
It's kind of like there's a blue dome of, I think we live in one of those little beautiful blue balls that you get as a gift. And yeah, my wife's holding the fort back in Boca Raton during the storm. Ian, I think it is.
Yeah, I was surprised that we got to an eye again, which just tells you how much I actually track hurricanes.
Yeah.
The last one I remember was Ivan, but I think that was like 15 years ago or something.
Yeah, well, when you're on the East Coast in Florida, you tend to know the names pretty well.
You pay attention to them. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's a scary proposition. And San Diego's home forever.
Yeah, so I lived here for 5 years. I wish I could take it with me and transplant it in Florida for different reasons. Certainly taxes.
Yeah, no question about it. So I've known you for several years, and I refer to you as like an OG in internet marketing.
Yeah.
This is actually a label that I give you. I've given you more than once at this event. So how did you grow up in sales, and how did you transition to business in the first place? Because I think a lot of people do know you as that in the internet marketing space.
So my dad's a Haitian immigrant. He came here in 1959. He got to serve in the U.S. military. He went through life insurance, so he learned some sales there. Then he went into the car business. And he worked his way up in the car business from salesman to sales manager, saved his own money, and bought a dealership. He owned a dealership that's still there today called Wanto Mazda. Back then it was Wanto Mazda Peugeot, but Peugeot left the country. So my dad would come in and wake me up in the middle of the night, 11 o'clock at night, when he'd come home and talk to me about all the deals that he closed. So he kind of put that into me. And I was on the cusp of two different generations. You know, my brother is really at the tail end of the baby boom. I'm the start of Generation X. So he was Led Zeppelin, hair parted down the middle like this with the mustache. And I was more the bi-level parachute pants, Cyndi Lauper, generation. And at that time, he graduated and the Commodore 64 had come out, and it was like an Atari or an Intellivision we wanted for gaming, but it didn't have a cartridge. It had a disk and literally had a disk operating system. And the only way you could get it to run was using a program language called BASIC. You had to type in basic commands. And so it came with this manual. I see that, you can type in 10, print, quote, Mike, said my name. And I said 10, go to 10, run. And they just put my name down. I was like, literally a light bulb went off in my head that, I can do anything I want, with this. So I created a little software for my dad. He'd spend $20, twice a week. So it would be 40 tickets twice a week for the lottery. And he'd come home and he'd fall asleep with the tickets in his hands. He never checked the tickets. He had a big mason jar of unchecked tickets. Lottery tickets? The same numbers every week. So I said, I can put that onto a data file and we can check your tickets for you. And I then saw in a magazine that there were like 40 states that had lottery. So I programmed it for the inputs for all states. Some were 5 numbers, some were 6. I went to put an ad in a magazine called Lottery Players Magazine. The guy that answered the phone was the owner of the magazine. And when I'm reading the copy to him, you got to remember, this is the only software back then were recipes. Microsoft didn't even have Word and Excel. It was like Word Perfect and Lotus 1-2-3.
What year is this?
This is 1984.
Got it.
Yeah. I'm in high school and I'm reading the ad and the guy says, well, wait a second. You're telling me that you have a computer program on disk that can instantly check. It was revolutionary. Check the ticket and tell you, because they didn't even do it for you you had to circle everything and check your tickets. Now you give them, they just scan them and tell you if you won. So I sold that for $22,000. And I went to New York Institute of Technology, studied computer science, got engaged, and I was like, okay, got to drop out of school and I got to get a job. And I went into the car business for 14 years. And so that's where I learned salesmanship. But I was always a computer junkie.
What a strange path. So you went to school for computer programming. And you dropped out?
Yeah. After 2.5 years. Yeah, I studied, the internet wasn't around then.
Yeah.
This is 1986, 87, and 88. So I studied, binary machine language, Pascal, Fortran, BASIC.
Wow. Wild. Why'd you stop?
Well, at that time, to go to school, I had to work part-time at a supermarket. I was literally making $6 an hour.
Got it.
So, even full-time, that would have been $12,000 a year. My brother was selling cars making $50,000 a year.
Got it.
That was kind of like making $95,000, today. So my dad's in the business, my brother's in the business. I said, I'm going to go get a job. My dad wouldn't give me a job. He said, no, you're going to have to start from the bottom.
Amazing.
So I applied, went to a Hyundai dealership. They hired me on the spot. They literally said,
So you sold for a competitor's company? I mean, a different car dealership in town?
Oh, yeah. But that's the car business. I've worked at so many different franchises over the years. It's
but just not your father's.
Yeah, never worked with my dad. He ended up moving to California by the time I was going through the business. And I ended up running, I was the general manager for the second largest Hyundai dealership in the country and the largest Toyota dealership in the Northeast region of the United States. So I learned, I used to think I knew what I was doing until I got with this group called the Staluppi Auto Group, and I worked at a store called Millennium Hyundai and Millennium Toyota. And we were doing 500 cars a month when other Toyota dealerships were doing 110. If you came into that showroom, you were buying a car from us. I came from a place where I used to just desk the deals and say, Brad, go back and tell the customer this, blah, blah, blah. I was doing that. The part owner of the dealership was just standing behind me like 3 days in. He goes, excuse my language. He goes, what the hell are you doing? Get off your ass. Go talk to that. So we had to go talk to every single customer, and you'd get fired if you were a salesman and you let a customer go without a manager talking to him. We were called the Sharks. We would walk through the showroom, and if we saw you losing a deal, we'd pop in. Hey, how's everything going? Brad treating you good? And you just sit down, and when you're doing that on a Saturday, you're closing yourself 15 deals. So you're probably seeing 45, 50 people. So being able to get in and make a conversation, look somebody in the eyes. We used to say, smile with the eyes, find out the real objections. That was like going into military boot camp for sales for me.
Amazing. I mean, and car dealerships in general are one of the sales categories where they get a terrible rap. Because of aggressive sales, right?
Especially in Long Island, New York. Long Island, New York. I could instantly get into character of all the guys that I worked with. If you've ever heard the stereotype, it is true. Like all I heard all day long. So, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, what do we got to do to put you in this car today? You tell me and I'm going to make it happen. And so, you had Fat Tony, all this. It was as if you took The Sopranos, and you said, the only difference is they don't kill people, they sell cars. That's what working in Long Island cars was like.
How'd you transition? Because then you did this 14 years, so that's
October 2002. This is just after 9/11. A year after 9/11, they made me the national the trainer for all 18 car groups because we were growing so fast. They were buying dealerships and we needed bodies. So I'm on the internet like 2 hours a day, and the internet was pretty new back then, where I could research overcoming objections, different closes. I was putting together a manual that I used for training, and somehow I got on some list and I got an email. Comes in right into my AOL inbox and it says, The Secrets to Online Profits. I remember that. I clicked on it. I read it. It goes to a page called Instant Internet Empires, signed by Frank Kern. I read Frank Kern's copy, how you can sell digital products. They're called ebooks. And there's a new technology that PayPal just came out called the PayPal button. You can put it on your website. You can get your products delivered to the people digitally, so there's no inventory, and you get your money in your payment account the same day. This was revolutionary. As you know, there wasn't, you couldn't get credit cards online back then, and secure, like that was all being figured out. Authorize.net kind of led the way. So 2002, this is at a time when you're like, I can now finally get on the internet, have a website, and make money. I did this in October of 2002. I'm now making $5,000 a month in March. I'm still in the car business. $5,000 a month in March of 2003.
But what are you doing? He sold like an info product on how to sell ebooks online.
Yeah. So I was able to sell if I could get you in front of it. I had resale rights to this product. Frank wrote good copy. So what am I going to do? I'm just going to go out logically and buy 1 million email addresses. So I spent $1,000. My wife thought I was crazy. I said, it's 1 million email addresses. Then I spent $799 on a desktop email software. And I loaded the emails in. I could do 10,000 a day. I'm up till like 5 a.m. setting it up. And I'm like, I don't want anything to break. So I'm going to wait till I wake up, shower. I'm getting ready to go to car business. I hit send. I see it going out. I'm like, all right, let's see what happens. Checking my PayPal email. I got 3 sales. in the first 3 hours for $47. And then my wife calls me. And I think she's like, what are you doing? This is great. No, she calls me. She says, what the hell is going on? Optimum Online called and they said, we're spamming and they're going to shut down our account and we're going to have to go back to dial-up. I said, what? And I call up Optimum and the guy's like, your IP address and yours this email address. And I said, okay. And I explained what an ignorant knucklehead I was. And Ken Spam Act hadn't come out. So I didn't even know that it was even, I just thought this is what you do.
Right.
So they said, if this ever happens again, the only way to get internet back then was Optimum or dial-up. So there was no way I was going to lose that. We were going to lose our cable, everything. So I said, okay, but I got a bug now. I said, email marketing works. So I started Googling, and what came up was opt-in email marketing. And I was like, well, how do you do that? So I found this way to go into traffic exchanges and sort of exploit the way that people that use traffic exchanges would think that my ads were like for a confirmation that they signed up for that didn't work. It was sort of like that. So they would see and be like, oh, I need to react to that because my confirmation email didn't work. And anybody that was in a traffic exchange was basically people like me. If they were trying to sell something online, that was my perfect customer. So I just found out how to completely exploit that. And I created an ebook talking about it in a video course called Carbon Copy Marketing. And I was bringing in about 300 to 500 opt-ins a week. And I started, if you've ever heard the expression that you can make $1 per month online for every person you have on your email list, that metric came from me. It was in that sales copy. If you go back into the archives, because when I had 1,000 people on my list, I made $1,000. A couple of months later, I had 3,000 people on my list. I made $3,000 that month. When I had 5,000 people on my list, I made $5,045. So I start going, oh my goodness, if I keep doing this, I'm going to have 50,000 people on my list in 11 months. And then I'm like, times 12. No. So I'm doing something wrong. This can't be right.
Yeah.
No, because I was like, I'm going to be making $500,000 a year in 11 months. Like this feeling that I start getting, and I start talking to my wife. She's not my ex-wife, but we're best friends still. And I'm like, I'm blah, blah, blah. She's like, no, you're not getting out. You have medical, you have a car. You don't know how long and this is 2003. You don't know how long this is going to last. And, at this point, I'm now making close to, $20,000 a month plus my car dealership. I paid off all my bills first time in my life. I've got money in the bank, paid cash for a car. And then the owner of the dealership, found out that I was doing it. He came into the showroom during a day and just sat right next to me. We had a little bit of a blowout. The way I used to say my name is Philzame. But I changed it to Phil Same for online. I just knew people weren't going to be able to convert the spelling and the sound. So he says to me, if I were to go to MikePhilzame.com, would I get another marketer? And right there, I was like, oh, I had no idea that he knew. Because there was a problem with Millennium Hyundai was giving quotes from Millennium Toyota. And he was like, you're not on top of this. And that's a long story. But anyway, we had a showdown right there and all the salespeople start gathering around. This is the front desk where we pencil deals. And he says, you know what, Mike, we were going to send you to Florida and make you the regional director. So you've got to decide right now, are you in business for yourself or are you in business for us? And I said, I think that's a very unfair question because there's no conflict of interest. Frank has a video store and Dennis has a laundromat. And so I'm not selling extended warranties online. I think it's very unfair. And he probably thinks I'm making $300 a week on eBay. He doesn't know I'm making 20 grand a month. So he says, I want an answer and I want an answer right now. And I confirmed what he was saying. And he just thought I was going to be like, okay, John, I'm sorry. And I said, well, it's been a great 5 years. And he said, give me the keys to your car, give me the keys to your, to the front door and give me the keys to the safe. And I couldn't get my finger in there and I'm shaking like this. Probably took like a minute and holding back tears at this point. Everybody's coming up. What's going on? He walks out and goes, Tommy, meet me at the Toyota showroom. You're the new general manager of Millennium Hyundai. And he walked out the door and everybody walked up to me. I go outside. I start crying. It was so emotional for me because I love the guy and I can't believe like what just happened. Mm-hmm. And, everybody's like, you know how he gets. Don't worry about it. Tomorrow you're just going to come in, and I said, I'm crying and I'm going, you don't fucking get it. I'm fucking done with this stupid business. You'll never see me again. This is the best thing that ever happened to me. I said, I feel like Mel Gibson yelling freedom. And they're like, Mike. I said, no, I'm not kidding you. You're never going to see me again. And the next month I made $75,000 and never made less in a month since.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. What I got stuck on was your name change.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to me, but why not go full pseudonym? I mean, you basically now are like, this is not really how you say my name, but it's just easier for you idiots. So go ahead and call me this.
So here's what it is, right? My dad's Haitian. If you look at my social security card, it says FILS-AIME.
Huh.
So it's two French words, fils is son. Like if I say I love you in French, it's je t'aime, AIME. So, like an Italian amor, or amore. So it just means beloved son. So in school, I was always Filzame. But it was never easy. It would always be, first day of school, Fisher here, Finkel here, Phil Sami, and I'd go Filzame, and they still couldn't get it. Like, they would still say Phil Sami.
Sure.
So my dad in the car business, dealt with that, but I didn't because I was never dealing with people. So he would say Phil Same just to make it easier because people saw FILS and AIME. So when I was getting online, I knew that if I was going to get MikeFilzame.com, I just didn't want to get into it. So I just started saying Phil Same. And now Filzame sounds very strange to me. If I go back, it's been about 8 years, but if I walk back into a car dealership, somebody will go, oh, Filzame, look who's here. And I'm like, wow, that sounds so strange.
Wow.
That sounds strange.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So you were selling, this was the beginning of, digital products on the internet.
Yeah. So back then, now 2003, 2004, big seminar starts coming out and we're just starting to become a community. MySpace doesn't even come out till 2000, there's no social media. 2005, YouTube comes out in 2005, right? So this is pre-video, pre-social media. People were scanning their high school picture. Like we used to joke about Sean Casey and, like even getting your picture online, you had to scan it and crop it, and which was tough. So at that point, it was technical. Mm-hmm. It was, do you know this thing called the internet exists? And you need to get a domain. A domain is blah, 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 blah. But then you need hosting, but then you have to, and so the courses were basically showing people how to point DNS to their domain. And then you had to get a FTP server and you had to use Dreamweaver or Microsoft Front Page and design it. It's like a Word doc and you transfer it. So you got to explain that. This is pre-WordPress, pre-social media. Today with things like Groove and ClickFunnels and, and all of these things, getting up online is, not even a question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had to combine the technical with the passion and the expertise. Today, you don't even get into that. Today, you talk about your passion and your expertise. You put that together and you figure out the economics of the marketplace, and then you're going to be able to make money with it. So that maturity from 2006 to 2008, it all started changing in 2008 when Kajabi started coming out. We were in a mastermind called the Syndicate. So the reason why you say I'm one of the OGs, fortunately, I was able to get into a mastermind. It was me, Andy Jenkins, Frank Kern, Jeff Walker, Eben Pagan, Ryan Dice, Perry Belcher, and the other guys, forgive me if I don't mention their names, if I'm forgetting them. Brendan Bouchard, if I didn't mention him. So we were an email list mastermind that was emailing daily. Hey guys, we were on a convergence of information. We were the ones that went from $47 to John Reese. I'm going to try, John Reese was in it. $9.97. Then we tried $19.97. We created the automated webinar, with Rich Sheffrin. He wrote a report on it. I said, I'm a software guy. Well, that's great that you're telling everybody what could be done with this idea of automation that took you 2 years to build, but I'm going to create it and called it EEDM, Evergreen Event Driven Marketing. Evergreen Business System was the software that I created as a software that you could buy and install to do automated webinars. And then I said, I'm going to turn this into a SaaS. And I changed that to Ever Webinar. And I created Ever Webinar. And the word ever came from Rich Sheffrin, Evergreen Event Driven Marketing. So all of that information was coming in firsthand. And I was the guy that said, I'm going to adapt these ideas to software.
Mm. So from a software perspective, you've been an interesting character because you a couple times just now have said SaaS.
Yeah.
I want software as a service specifically. And now the SaaS space is a pretty mature space, right?
Yeah.
The money that gets pushed into SaaS, there are very clear metrics. We have a really good idea of what's going to make it or not based on the metrics. It didn't exist in the beginning. Yeah. And what's interesting to me about you is that some of correct me if I'm wrong here, but I remember some of the software you made not be SaaS, but
Yeah.
it'd be one-time purchase software.
Yeah. When you look at Mark Benioff, who owns Salesforce, I didn't even I swear, he had this logo. It was a circle with a line through it, like the no this, no that, no entry. And it had the word software in it. It was called No Software. And I never even understood what it meant. Salesforce was the world's first SaaS. Started in 1999. I mean, that goes to show you. And so he was competing with Oracle and Microsoft and all that stuff back in the office. I remember being in the car business. You used to get a new CD-ROM every month and they'd have to update the software. And you always were scared to update the software because it would break and then wait for the new bug releases and it didn't download over the internet. You had to wait 6 months for the software. So companies didn't want to update. So if this computer updated, you and I were no longer compatible. You couldn't get the file. So SaaS took care of that because it was all cloud-based. So Mark Benioff was really the person that came up with this idea to stop doing stuff on CD-ROM. So CD-ROMs basically went to zip files. So when I released Butterfly Marketing, the Evergreen Business System, and a couple of other different things, what I did is I wrote a script that would be like WordPress. You would install it on your server and you'd have your own copy. And I saw all of the problems with that, what we would call forking the code. Once I give you the code, you tell your techie guys and your developers, hey, you know what? I asked Mike if he could add in Stripe or this or that or add this feature. And they said they're not going to get to it for 8 months. And your developer goes, I can get in the code and I can do that. And so now you have a new code. And once you do that, I find a crucial bug and I publish a new upload. You have to start knowing that if you upload this, it's going to wipe out everything that you did. And so it just creates a lot of problems like that. So SaaS is, obviously what it is. If you look at something like ClickFunnels or something, it updates and everybody gets an update all at the same time. So my first SaaS company was a company that competed with ClickBank. It was called pay.com. It was a 9-letter domain, paydotcom.com.
Yes. Pay.com.com.
Yeah, pay.com.com.
Yes.
Right. And that's where I really saw the future for SaaS. I could see that I could create something. I was able to sell that company. So after Evergreen Business System, I created the first real SaaS that the world knows, and that was Webinar Jam and EverWebinar.
A couple things. One, when Benioff made Salesforce, part of the issue was that the cloud wasn't stable. Internet wasn't stable.
Right.
People didn't have internet in their houses, right? I remember Salesforce when I was looking for a CRM in probably 2006. Looking at Salesforce, talking to them, and I literally laughing at them, thinking, "There's no fucking way I'm going to rely on the internet."
The internet. It was almost. I'll even say this: I laughed at two things when they came out. One, Google Docs. I was like, I'm not going to use an internet browser to write a Google Doc. Like, what happens? Where's my data going to go exactly? And believe it or not, Gmail was just cloud based. Like, I was like, I want my stuff on my hard drive. So I used to use Outlook and use POP3 and you'd hit the button and it would sync everything. And I want everything on my computer. So So I understand when you were thinking like, I'm not having this data stored in the cloud. Like, we were so used to, I need the software. Even when you look at music, but I remember Steve Jobs going, people want to own their movies, their music, but they want to rent movies. So like he was talking about how iTunes was going to let you rent movies, but Steve never believed the streaming model was going to work like Spotify. He wanted you to buy your music for 99 cents. And then a lot of people didn't like the first one's Zune, Microsoft. It failed. They were a version of like Spotify, and people were like, oh, I don't like this idea of paying you. But then once I stop paying you, I don't have access to the music anymore. So we weren't ready for a lot of those different things. And then obviously now, who in the world, like when was the last time that you bought something on iTunes for $1.29? Like anything you want to listen to, it's yours. So we had to get to this mind shift that everything was going to be on demand in the cloud.
Well, okay, so you have the technical side of that, right? But the other is the marketing side of sort of SaaS versus one-time purchases.
Yeah.
And so even if you were, it sounds like you were operating from sort of like an in-between land of like, it was software as a service and you were pushing updates, but I've seen you on multiple occasions sell lifetime access to stuff as opposed to ongoing. Yeah. Can you tell me about the positioning of that and why to do that or why you choose to do that instead of an ongoing subscription? Yeah.
So with Groove, we have both, and I'll explain how we got there. So I sold Kartra, Webinar Jam, EverWebinar, had a 2-year non-compete, from 2016 to 2018. And so in 2018, I wanted to get back and rebuild another company. I was seeing what was happening with Kickstarter and Indiegogo. And I said, I think I'm going to do one of these Kickstarters. So I produced a video and said, I'm going to create a product called Groove Pages. So we never had a plan to do this big all-in-one platform that it is now. I just wanted to do a page builder. And we raised so much money, I said I can broaden the scope. I originally wrote in the script, so if you back this Kickstarter, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then my partner, Matt, said, Mike, if you miss by $1 with Kickstarter, if you want to raise $1 million and you raise $999,999, it's binary. You fail, you don't get the
zero.
Money. And they said, but if you go with Indiegogo, you'll pay more. You'll pay 11%. But you have the option, like you can pay 9% or 11% says you get the money even if you're short. So I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm going to hit the goal. We're only going to ask for $250, but I'm sure. But what if I don't? This will be a big waste. Like you can never predict. So I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to say back this project. So I wrote that into the script, recorded it, and so I never said Kickstarter. But originally, I was going to actually put it on Kickstarter. So we do our first GrooveCon, and I launched the video there, and we closed the entire room. People are like, oh my God, Mike's coming out with a page builder. It's going to compete with ClickFunnels. I can pay $497, and I own it for life. So I was pre-selling. And then when I got back home, I couldn't believe how well it sold. I said, let's email all of our 3,000 leads. That's all we had. And we brought in like 80 grand. A couple of my friends said, hey, what was that thing that you're mailing for? Do you have an affiliate link? And I said, you know what? Screw, guys, we're not doing the Kickstarter. I'm going to do a launch. Because I never thought I'm going to launch something that's not going to be built in a year. But it was resonating. So I did a big launch and we raised $1.2 million in a week. Wow. And so now the company, I was like, all right, we're hiring developers. We're going to build a GrooveMail. We're going to build GrooveSell. We're going to basically do what was Kartra, add Webinar Jam, EverWebinar, and a Shopify component. And so now I have to go build it, but we don't have a company. So I continue to now remake a new video about all of what I would call the future projects. So first we're going to have GrooveSell. So that was in May of 2019. And by April, less than a year, April of 2020, we launched in beta with 3 of the products. And now I reshot another video and we said, we're going to give the software away for free with a premium. There was an upsell. And so we started changing the price to $13.97, $14.97, $19.97. And then finally we did away with the lifetime and we went from making a ton of money to making 1/10 of the money. And I was trying to convert the offer. It's not that we're making 1/10 of the money. When you get 10 people to sign up at $19.97, you made $20,000 for the day. When you get 10 people to sign up at $99 a month, you made $1,000 for the day. Mm-hmm. And now you have to wait for those people to pay you 19 months to make that same amount of money. When you're doing advertising that's working, it's not going to work when you're spending money, when you're making 20,000, now you're making 1,000. So obviously we had different price plans and everything, but it wasn't working. So Roland Frazier and Steve Harwood, they called me because they just wanted to do like a JV and everything. And Roland says, and Mike, can you explain to me how your affiliate program works? I'm in Brazil at the time and we're launching Groove Brazil. And I said, Roland, if you would have asked me a week ago, I would have told you some great stuff, but I think I messed something up. I thought I could just go $99 a month and that's $1,200. I'll give you 20% off, save annual. So that was what the whole deal was going to be saved. It just wasn't working. So I told him a story that I just told you. He goes, what? Wait a second. You mean to tell me you had a lifetime offer where you were getting $2,000 on day one? What are your costs to keep that customer? I said, our entire company's server bill costs $7,000 a month. I said, like it's pennies. Like somebody could be the biggest user on my platform and it adds like, half a penny, to my cost per month. Lifetime is really not an issue. And I said, and I monetize that customer with the email list and so many different things. And he goes, Mike, and I can't say the names here. But these are 2 big brands that Roland was friends with and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And maybe consulted for, but, won't say more. And he goes, do you know the first company, their lifetime value only about $1,100. And second company, their lifetime value is about $1,500 to $1,700. And they have to wait a year to 18 months. In fact, if they get somebody for $99 a month and another guy for $99 a month, the first guy cancels after a month and the next guy stays on for 2 years. This guy brought in $2,400. This guy brought in 100, so that's 2,500. But it took 2 years, and then you average that. So the lifetime value of that customer is $1,250. And it took 2 years to achieve that. And you were getting $2,000 on day one, and you shut it off because why? And I said, well, and he goes, let me answer the question for you. I think I know why you shut it off. You think that your valuation on your company is going to be based on recurring income. I said, yeah, Roland, am I wrong? He goes, no, Mike. He goes, yes, Mike, you're 100% wrong. He says, you have to understand, recurring income is not something that goes into an evaluation. Recurring income is a business model. The only thing that we look at when we're evaluating a company is the lifetime value of the company and the lifetime value of a customer. And the lifetime value of a customer is higher when you have a recurring income than when you have a standoff product. But at the end of the day, we want to know the lifetime value of the customer. He goes, my advice to you is do the recurring, but also offer a lifetime. Build up your recurring income. But that guy that wants to help fund the company in the early days redid the entire offer. So now you can get the lifetime now for $24.97 as a one-time offer, or 3 payments of $9.97, which makes it $3,000. And if you skip it, you could still buy it later for $29.97 or 4 payments of $9.97. So at most, in 90 days, I'm getting $4,000. You try to get $4,000 from a customer at $99 a month. It is not happening. And God bless you that you're going to wait 4 years for it. So I'm offering people now, you can pay as you go. You could take the $99, the $199, the $299. You want to take those plans and pay them like you could get the $99 plan for $497 a year. So like we have all of these really good discounts that are still annual, still recurring, still monthly. But then at the bottom of the price sheet, it's like, or I can just get this over with three payments of $997. So now I've got cash flow coming in every single day, $25,000, $30,000 in the lifetimes that are fuels the advertising budget. And then half of the people are coming in and paying, recurring. So it's like the best of both worlds. And I think any single person should definitely consider that in their early days. Will we ever get rid of the lifetime? Maybe. One, we don't need it to run the ads because we have so much recurring income. But right now, it's fueling my advertising. I don't know that I'd be able to get my ads working without it. Yeah. Oh, one more thing I want to say on that.
Yeah.
This is one of the best tips I could ever give anybody. There's 2 things that you're selling. It's not mutually exclusive, but at one point you're either selling a product or you're selling an offer. Sometimes you're selling both. I'll give you an example. Have you ever eaten English muffins?
Yeah, I love English muffins.
If you were going to get in the supermarket a brand of English muffins, which one would you get?
Oh man, that's a good question. Thomas's,
right?
Yep.
Thomas's, right? And it's like Thomas's is just like anything else is, and let's say they're, now with inflation and everything, let's say they're $4.99 for like a 6-pack, right? Uh-huh. You buy the Thomas's and then you see like the store brand every single week and you're like, oh man, that Publix brand it's just dry. It doesn't taste right. But now you get to the end of the aisle and there's a special. So you can get 6 for the Thomas's for $4.99. But now you see that the store brand is 2 6-packs for 99 cents. At that point, you're no longer buying a product, you're buying an offer. Look, I love Thomas's, but for $5 for 6, I can get 12 for 99 cents. I'm going to get this. You get home, wife says, what do you do? We don't like this. And you explain the offer was so good, I changed my mind. So 2 most powerful things in marketing, in my opinion, are number 1, free because of risk, and lifetime. Lifetime is something that says, I can just get this over with. It'll never hurt me again. And I own this for life. If you have a software, as soon as you tell people that they can have it for life, you're now selling an offer. And people are now buying the benefits that are attached to the software. Once you take the lifetime away and it's now $997 a year or $99 a month, the only thing that I'm selling you is my software. I have to now make a case for my software and why it's better than everybody else. You might even have another platform. Somebody might say to you, why'd you buy that? Look, I'm already an XYZ user, but as it was on AppSumo, it's $99 a month. It was a lifetime deal for $297. I said, let me just get that out of the way. Maybe they'll grow this thing into something. So that lifetime deal allows you to say things like, pay once, never make another payment to us or anybody else to do what you need to do ever. Mm-hmm. And so now that's what people contemplate. So you take away the lifetime and the offer is drastically different. The only thing that you can now do is, in perpetuity value versus the software.
Interesting. Well, I have several thoughts on that. One is that you opened the market of buyers.
Yeah.
So instead of, you illustrated it just now, but instead of them saying, should I take this service or this service, and them ruminating about the choice of what they're going to get locked into, they're like, yeah, well, fuck it. I mean, this is a one-time purchase. So if I don't choose to use it later, it's okay. Yeah. Like, whatever.
So I'll put it to you this way. My competitor, Russell Brunson, good friend, he has ClickFunnels 2.0 coming out at the time that we're talking today. If I were to say to you or to some people, are you going to use it? Maybe you're using a platform or not or whatever, and it's $299 a month. At this point, you're talking about, is it the right platform for you? Right? Even if you're not using it, maybe you have your own designer, your own coder. Suddenly somebody, and this isn't true, right? But somebody comes up to you and goes, hey, listen, I heard that Russell's going to be doing an introductory thing, like for the first 1,000 people, you're going to get a lifetime account for $3,000. Instantly, some little dopamine just went off in your head. This fear of missing out. Yep. It's going away, and you're going to be like, you know what, dude? If I could get that for a lifetime, even if I never use it, I'm going to be happier that I got it.
Reasonable.
So it has nothing to do with the software. And now, with Groove, if I get you in the lifetime, you get in, you fall in love with the software. Yeah. Well, I have to do that. I still have a SaaS company for all the recurring to make sure that they love the software. And now I'm getting users. Yeah. Hey, dude, I didn't realize how good this software was. I never was in there. It's fantastic. And word of mouth, all these things fuel growth.
Well, the other thing that you brought up, so a couple of things. One is the idea of using it as a launch, as a funding source is super interesting. But the other is when you look at the LTV of a client, and you kept talking about, waiting a year, waiting 2 years, waiting 3 years. But what you didn't illustrate that is equally or more significant in my eyes is whether that user is ever going to get to 3 years.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So really, when you look at most recurring products, not necessarily a business that or a software that people run their company out of, but most recurring offers online in many categories, even though they're a subscription, they fall at 3, 4, 5 months.
Absolutely.
And so if you're selling the LTV that is the equivalent of 24 months, like you're capturing.
On day one.
Yep.
And then your average value, your average transaction value at point of sale, or what they say cart value, skyrockets. My ad company is just in love with running ads because every single time a $24.97 or a $29.97 comes in, that's so much different than a $99. Like our cost per acquisition, we could start scaling up to, we could pay $30 to get a customer and still be profitable.
Right. Well, and so for anybody that isn't heavy in paid ads, like basically the equation that you have to run when you're running paid ads is what is the lifetime value of the customer?
Exactly.
And then you have to back into what can I pay per lead or per click or whatever.
If you have deep pockets, right? So let's say you're a software company and you're going to charge $99 a month. Mm-hmm. And your average lifetime value of a customer is, let's say, $700. So that means that it's going to take you on average 7 months to get that $700. Mm-hmm. So you would need to be So
you're talking about float.
Yeah, exactly.
The issue is the cash flow problem.
Yeah, exactly. Right? So if you could,
let me spell that out.
Go ahead.
So when you sell there's this huge draw in the marketplace today for high ticket offers, quote unquote high ticket offers, and it's can you sell expensive shit online? Yeah. And people want to do it because you can spend a ton of money on ads. And you get, let's say it's a $5,000 product, or let's say $3,000 for you right now, right? You sell a $3,000 product. You can spend $3,000 to get that one conversion and you immediately get the $3,000 back.
Exactly.
On a subscription, yes, the lifetime value might be $3,000, but it's spread out over 36 months. All you're getting back right now is $99.
So you need investment capital.
You need tons of cash to run ads to do that.
You go on YouTube and you start hearing these things. This video was sponsored by Skillshare. This video was sponsored by Squarespace. The amount of money that they're investing is Silicon Valley, Sequoia Capital. Like, they go out, they raise $50 million and they're like, we're going to blitz the market with brand awareness and they're waiting years to get that money back. But it's a great strategy. Amazon went, 15 years without being profitable. Mm-hmm. Now look where they are now. When you're in direct response or you're a bootstrap company, you're going to have slightly different strategies to acquire a customer. You might be able to float for 3 months, So if you're $99 a month and, it costs you $300 to get a customer, well, you can go negative. And then your ad spend is going to be negative for a while. And on the 4th month, that money starts kicking in. Okay, great. But you're not going to be able to scale unless you have, millions in the bank, to carry on that advertising. Like, look at a game, right? these games, Shadow Legends, all these different things, 99 cents a download. These are companies backed by, these Blizzard, Activision type companies that are like, we're going to pour all the money in, get the users in, build a base, then do microtransactions over time. And, if you are a gamer going to go try to build a game like that and think that you're going to start getting YouTubers to start saying this video was sponsored by, it's not going to happen. Yeah, you're going to need investment money for that.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Where my head went right away was the console market for games.
Yeah.
So gaming is a super fascinating industry at large, and it's evolved so much since my youth.
Yeah.
Or yours. You talked about a Commodore. I grew up on a Nintendo.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and I had them all.
Yep. Well,
even to Call of Duty, I'm still a gamer for that nowadays.
Well, what I didn't know, and I found out in more recent years, is that Nintendo has been the only company that has ever made money on their consoles. All the money comes from the software produced, the games.
The cartridges,
games. Yeah. And I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah.
That like PlayStation and Xbox, they know that the tremendous amount of money that goes into the console is a loss leader.
Yeah.
But to your point, it's the same concept as being able to funnel ads to create this thing. The only way you could do that is if you know that you're not going to make any money for a long time, which means you have to have a ton.
It's the conduit. In marketing, they call it the conduit. So like, you look at Gillette, like back in the day, obviously they used to give away a free razor, so that you'd buy the blades for life, right? If they could, say, oh, free razor. And so in the history of all the console games, they've always wanted this closed garden, and there were lawsuits that broke it down. But essentially, Nintendo, Sony, Atari was the first one that had this problem. They wanted to lose money on the console and then make money selling the cartridges. And then Activision came out and created a cartridge that you could buy, and Atari tried to block them, like, hey, you're not allowed to sell products here. And then you've heard of all these different things like, what do they call it, with the iPhone when you can jailbreak your phone? They've always tried to create these walled gardens that if you do this, it voids your warranty, all of these types of different things. But in the end, they lost all of this stuff. But that was the goal, is to get the conduit, and then to be able to, even at a loss leader, just get it out there and know that you're going to make money selling the accessories and things later.
Yeah, and I suppose it's there's a tremendously different business mechanism at play there, which is owning the platform.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The iPhone is the perfect thing.
They all are, right?
Yeah.
So I heard Bill Gates talking early about his ambition for Xbox being sort of the computer of the living room.
Yeah.
And this was the construct.
Yeah.
I don't know that really came to fruition. I think other people beat him to the chase of converting TVs to media devices.
Roku's, Apple TVs, yeah.
Totally. And Roku, I thought was the dumbest thing ever when it first came out.
Yeah.
And now it's like the best thing ever.
Yeah.
And it's everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Smart TV was a funny concept.
Right.
Now, again, they own the platform, right?
Exactly. It's the platform. And one of the people that pioneered the platform was Mark Benioff so he got some advice from Steve Jobs. I only know two of the three. But you can find it online. Just look up like Mark Benioff, advice from Steve Jobs. He really looked up to Steve. He used to go to Steve's house a couple of times a year. Steve would give him advice. And he was trying to compete with Oracle. And Steve said, you keep trying to talk about this cloud and no software. There's three things that you need to do. I really wish I remember one of them. He said, but the first thing you need to do is you need to land a well, like one of the biggest people in corporate America, so that you could say, so-and-so is using this. And he goes, I know the lady from Avon. She's on our board of director of Apple. I'm going to put you in touch with her. They get her. And now he's like, Avon runs their entire company on Salesforce. The second one I forget. And then the third one, he says, then you have to go out and you have to create a platform. And then he said, what do you mean by that, Steve? And Steve goes, I don't know exactly, but you need to figure it out. That's what Benioff says. So he basically, there was no such thing as an API. Like they pioneered this. It's 100% true. There's nothing like this. And so Benioff buys the domain App Store and he rolls it out to all of their people, all their developers. But they were like, we're more B2B. Like we don't really work with the consumers. Like we're working with other Salesforce businesses. So he did a poll and they like the name App Exchange better. So Salesforce is called the App Exchange. And so now he has appstore.com. And he goes back a couple of years later to Steve Jobs and, to tell him, you wouldn't believe what you've done for me. This App Exchange is what's scaling. And what is the App Exchange? It's basically the WordPress plugins and theme market. It's the Shopify marketplace. It's the Chrome extension marketplace, Firefox plugins, Android and iPhone. It's you build something, but people can build on it. How big would the iPhone be if all it had was 19 native apps from Apple? It's the iPhone because of the hundreds of thousands of apps. So he was the first guy to do this before WordPress, before anybody. And so he went to thank Steve and he said, Steve, I have something for you for your birthday that I think you're really going to like. Steve had just come out with the iPhone and, he says, what are you going to get the man that has everybody? And he says, your advice led me on this path and, I have the domain name appstore.com. I want to give it to you. And he gave it I just handed it to Steve as a thank you. And now App Store is a registered trademark of Apple.
Wow.
And it redirects to their App Store. So that's how big the platform is. That's why Chrome is able to grow and WordPress. It's not because WordPress was a good plugin. There was I forget the name of the blogging platform before them, but WordPress was the one that said you could develop for it with plugins and themes. And that's the game changer. You have to be able to build a platform. Shopify does it. Groove is building a platform. So we're going to have a little marketplace where if people are like, hey, Mike, can you, create this shipping thing? And be like, oh no, just get the ShipStation, download through the App Store. And then that makes your platform so sticky, it's impossible to leave.
Yeah. I love that. So tell me where you are in terms of scaling Groove and what the plan is with it, if you want to talk about it.
Yeah. So Groove gets about 1,000 signups a day. We use a freemium model like Trello or Gmail or Dropbox. It's like that's another thing that SaaS companies really need to look into is offering a freemium model. And once you offer free, remove all your price plans. Everybody gets locked into these pricing matrix, gold, premium, platinum, check boxes, all that. No, you're doing nothing but confusing the customer. Make your platform free, advertise everything that's free, get the user at least to create an account. After that, let's just talk about it. It's so logical when you talk to people why it needs to be this way. When you go to Canva, have you ever seen a pricing grid? Like no. Canva doesn't say it's $99. That's what every software company, they dream about these pricing matrix at night. Canva is free. And even though you pay Canva, you still tell people, oh, it's a free software, go get it. And Canva did what Groove is doing. They made it super free, uber free. Everything was free for 2 years. You went in, you got it. And then one day you went in, you're like, oh, premium. Well, I'll use this one. And you need this feature. One day you're like, just screw it, whatever. What do you want from me? All right, cool. I'm going to unlock. Here's your $29 a month. And now I unlock all of the different things like that. That only happens when you get the person engaged in the app. And just like a last thing on that, one of the things that you want to do is you want to give the person access to everything that they don't have access to. And at the point of step 9 out of 10, that's when you say to activate this. So in other words, let's say I don't give you Zapier integration. Mm-hmm. I don't lock it out. I let you find Zapier in there. I let you connect it. I let you go into Zapier. I let you set up all the automations. And then then you click activate and it says to activate Zapier, you need, right. Rather so you got to get the person all the way to the 1 yard line, sit them down in front of dinner. Exactly. Let them see everything. Sunk cost. Right. And so for us, for scaling right now, we focus only on getting free signups. Everything is about the free signup because everything else falls into place. Once they sign up for free, behind that wall is our incredible marketing machine and onboarding process. The app helps you sell it because you get in, you start doing stuff. Oh, I didn't realize I wasn't able to do this. We give a lot, like we give order bumps, but for instance, let's say we took out order bumps. We do give that away for free, but maybe at a point you'll be like, add an order bump. Yes. Oh, I didn't. Everybody's telling me I need an order bump, but I made that a non-issue because I got you to sign up for free. You start putting pricing matrix in front of people, the confused mind says no. All SaaS companies can learn a lot from what I'm saying here, because I've tested this stuff and I had no problem telling you before where I failed with a pricing matrix and doing all those different types of things.
Yeah, it's actually one of the things that I appreciate about you is the utter lack of ego around the failures and present problems going on.
Yeah, because you can learn a lot, from your failures. I think you learn more from your failures than your wins. It's always a game of getting rid of the bad is really the game that we're in. And then we go out and we share the good. But, so many times I've had people in my, my companies and masterminds go and this is just a fake example. Have you seen what Frank Kern's doing? What are you talking about? He's doing this thing where Frank just told me that bombed. He bombed. He tested. This is the actual winner that you want to do. But people say, well, Frank Kern's doing it. It must be good. Right. It's like, and then they go out, just going out and doing it. Frank's out there failing very, very quickly to find the winners as well. So you never, that's one of the things that you can do in advertising, right? With, like VidTow. You can go in, you could look at all these different ads. You go in, I remember I saw one of my competitors' ads and, I clicked on it. And the intelligence from VidTow was like, it's like they don't have any views to it. And then I went back and looked at all their other ads and I see this ad is run 3.6 million times. Mm-hmm. That's all I need to know. Mm-hmm. You're not spending money on something, that ran 3.6 million times to lose money. So I just look at that and I'll just deconstruct it. That's why we call it copywriting. It's literally goes back to the days of copying and putting things into actual folders in your desk called swipe files, because you'd swipe your competitor's ad. And, even in the car business, we did it. We would open up a little folder and look at all the other competitors. What are they doing? Well, they're doing a no money down. They're doing a pick your payment, rebate, whatever. And so that's where we get copywriting from, is literally copying other things that work.
Never thought about that. Never thought about that.
Yeah, the expression says, "Go get me the ad copy." And then you bring all your competitors, and it's the copy.
So, all right. So you're now on, I don't even know what software company, right? Several in here.
Yeah, Groove Digital is the LLC.
What has changed in how you have approached company number 8 that you're doing, and how you're growing it versus the previous?
Standards and systems, standard operating procedures for everything, for marketing, but really code development. Making sure that your developers are spending at least 10-15% of their time learning the new cutting edge stuff. I think one of the things that leads us well with Groove, like I learned in my previous companies way back, we didn't use a framework. We just used PHP and we would code any spaghetti we wanted. Then frameworks started coming out like CodeIgniter, Laravel. We use Laravel. And you want to be using as much off the shelf open source. So I'll give you an example. When we coded Kartra took us 2 years to develop all of the APIs for Authorize.net, NMI, all of these different things.
EasyPay Direct.
Hand coded the EasyPay Directs. Yeah. We hand coded every single one of those different things. And 5 years later, when we were doing GrooveCell, there was this open source project that had every single thing off the shelf. It was just there for the taking. Kind of like how Stripe created everything available, for a Stripe developer. There was an open source platform that for any type of payment gateway, you just installed it and it just worked. So we like to use things that are available on GitHub, standards, and it just makes development so much easier.
How do you assess those things, right? So like Stripe obviously is, fully supporting their SDK. You're talking about their software development kit, which is essentially for non-software people. An API is the tool that allows two pieces of software to connect. An SDK, a software development kit, are snippets of code that you can copy and paste to get the API to do certain things. So it shortcuts things for a developer to just insert, and in Stripe's case, it'll be like insert recurring payment, right?
Yes.
Or insert payment here.
Yeah.
And so they're supporting that. And this goes back to the SaaS model, right? They've got tons of recurring revenue, thousands of people on staff to make sure this code works. When you find something on GitHub that's open source code, how do you validate that that's like trustworthy enough to put into your code base?
It kind of like when you write a white paper as a college professor and it gets cited, and like the more citations, like Einstein theory has been, like in the scientific community, there's like a basis that comes up that validates different things. GitHub has those things in their repositories. How many people are using it? How many things are reported? And there's a certain rating, and you get up to like 97% satisfactory rate. And it's been around for 5 years, and you just kind of know. You can smell it out in there. Let's put it this way. It's not as easy to find something that's working well. It's easier to find something that's bad. The bad stuff is just there. You can see this one had 11 updates today. This one hasn't had an update in 9 months. And the last 4 comments was developer walked away, blah, 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 started up. And so that thing just dies on the vine. So it's really those types of things that just go on and shine.
That makes sense. So, an enhanced review system that's harder to bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. So, with something like Theme Forest, let's say you go in and you see a theme that has been downloaded 59,000 times with a 4.8 out of 5-star rating. It's like, you're not going to have a problem with that. Like all the comments. So it's sort of like that with something at GitHub.
Except probably better because, the people that are assessing it in GitHub have some level of credibility. Maybe not. I don't know. But you can game the review systems to a point, right? So like I'm looking on Yelp at a restaurant, and it has, a 4.8 star review, but there are less than 50 reviews. Irrelevant.
Yeah. Friends and family.
Irrelevant. I can get 50 tomorrow on this, right? But if there are 5,000, I'm like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in the code system, since there's no transactional price, it's all free. There's reasons why people do open source. We won't get into this. There's different ways they can monetize it on the back end. There's no other incentive to game the system. Open source is just this loving idea of people that believe software should be free.
Can we get into that? Can you tell me how you monetize open source?
Yeah. For instance, WordPress actually has different ways that they make money, like through hosting. I'm trying to think of there's a company that does, Laravel. You go to look at Laravel. They're a small team, believe it or not. You would think like they got hundreds of people. They're a small team of people. And they created this framework for PHP that is absolutely 100% free. 98% of the code base. But then they have like 5 products that are paid that you can purchase from them. One of them is Laravel Payments. So I was telling you that you could just go in and you could so Laravel Payments is like everything out there. And so I'll just name things that aren't like true competitors, but you'll understand what I mean. But like something like Braintree, right? Which is like you want Braintree in your system. If you're running on Laravel, you click a button and you have Braintree in 1 hour. Right. You didn't even have to code for it. You'd have to attach it to your product IDs and different things like that. So with Laravel, we were able to use Laravel Payments and have Groovesell up and running, and then if there's WePay in China or there's a discussion. WePay, we're looking into it. We'll have this PicPay in Brazil and all. And so that gets done there for you. And GitHub allows you to fork the code properly, what I was telling you. So if we do custom things, we could add these little things that are called non-overwrites and all those different things. A little bit over my pay grade right there, but these are the things where Laravel now has tens of millions of people on their framework. I'll give you just like one more other example that I'll give you. Like authentication used to be a pain in the ass. Right? That means I have to create a login system, lost password, all of these different things. Now I want you to be able to sign in with Google, all these different things. So now Laravel has like Laravel Auth, and you could buy that. So some of the core things that are needed, they'll offer for sale. So it's the same thing. It's pretty much like a freemium model.
Got it.
There, you're getting people to let you use our framework, and then they add these premium products on there.
Interesting. Got it. Cool. So where do you want to take Groove? And so I asked you a minute ago, like what you do differently. You said SOPs, system structure. From a financial perspective or sort of an end game perspective, are you looking at this one different than the others in terms of exit, in terms of sale, and how does that impact how you operate it?
Put $100 million in front of anybody and they'll change your mind, in a second, right? If there was cash right there. Where I might say I wouldn't take $100 million today because I have bigger dreams. My partners will always say, if it was sitting right there and everything with the economies and the wars and all this stuff, you wouldn't take it. So take that with a grain of salt when I say this is what the goal is, right? But when you look at Active Campaign, they got a $3 billion valuation, raised like $600 million. Our friends, Kenny at Kajabi, they raised $580 million just a year and a half ago on a $2 billion valuation. Little Brian Moran, our good friend Brian Moran, used to get 10,000 fans, started a company called Samcart. And I believe SAM stands for sales and marketing.
It does.
Yeah. So Samcart, this can be looked up, but I believe they just got a $220 million valuation. They make less revenue than us, have less customers than us. So kudos to them. I mean, that's a valuation, not a sale. So they can build that. And we'll take Russell for his word, that he was offered $1 billion and then turned it down. So this market of these direct response guys that we once were getting into software is creating some opportunities, to shoot for the stars. And even if you land on the moon, that's why I said if it ends up being 100 million. But I'll just close it with this. When I had Kartra, Webinar Jam, whatever webinar, and partnerships are like marriages, they don't always work out. You can love somebody, but it doesn't mean that you can be with them forever. Let's just use that metaphor. So when I decided I wasn't happy and I no longer had control of the company, I asked for a buyout. And from 2016 to 2018, I was probably the most depressed I ever was in my life. I wasn't allowed to work, wasn't allowed to go to events. If I was at an event, I'd have to say, hey, no cameras, please, blah, blah, blah. I didn't want to give them any reason, to say, hey, you're violating your non-compete. So you take away the ability for somebody to do something they're passionate about, and you give them money. I started smoking. I put on 20 pounds. My blood pressure went up. I was getting to bed at 7 a.m. I was the idiot that would talk to you about, hey, did you see Better Call Saul? I knew everything there was because all I did was watch TV and have, breadcrumbs and Doritos on me at night. And my wife would come over with a friend and I'd run upstairs and I'd be yelling at her like she did something wrong. Why didn't you tell me you could come? Because I hadn't showered in 2 days. Because, my wife would say, are you going to shower today? Babe, I showered Saturday. So, today's Tuesday. Well, I just woke up. Of course I'm going to shower. But I just became the guy with no purpose. So that was a lesson for me. Kind of like, and I hate when people compare themselves to Steve Jobs, but put it to you this way. Like when Steve was living in Palo Alto, he had made his money from Pixar and all this stuff. You think if somebody could have came to him and said, hey, Steve, we're going to offer you $1 trillion for Apple. You think he'd be 50 years old. What difference is that going to make? I love going to work every day and talking about Apple. And so for me, that's how I feel about Groove. If somebody were to give me $100 million and I tell you that, that dilemma, that let's face it, I probably couldn't say no to that. I have bigger things. I want to get to what Active Campaign and Kajabi did. But I would probably take that 100 million and then who knows what these people would do with Groove. I'm not saying I would regret it because I'd have the money, but some part of my soul would be ripped away at that point because I'm like Steve Jobs. Without going in and having a purpose, I've been there for 2 years. It wasn't fun.
Yeah. It's interesting getting ahead of people while they're in the process of growth, right?
Yeah.
And building.
So give me enough money. I'll just go start an incubator. I wouldn't retire. I would be here like Nick was, like you are here and talking about what I can share. And I'll have an incubator and help you invest and stuff like that. There's no retirement for me. So is Groove the end of the game? I would like to think that I'll be with it, but like a Steve Jobs figure there. But if there's a buyout one day, I'll go to the next phase like an incubator.
I love it. Cool, man. Well, where do you want to point people? Where can people find out about you? You can obviously push to Groove, but you tell me.
Yeah, you can go to mikefilsame.com. Just Google it. Spell it any way you want. You'll figure it out. And if you want to get a free account to Groove, you can go to groove.cm. And it's .cm because customers matter. It's really .cm because we can't get the .com. But
I love it. I love it. Mike, Phil Same. I can't even remember the other one now.
Yeah.
I love hanging out, man. It's always good talking.
You too, man. It was great. Thank you.
Good to see you.
You too, buddy.